It would abolish, it would eliminate the Bureau immediately after enactment. Do you support that, Mr. Jordan? Yes or no?
I've given my answer.
Do you support it?
I've given my answer.
Yes or no, Mr. Jordan?
I've given my answer, Mr. Schiff.
Okay, I guess your answer is you don't support it, or you're afraid to say that you do.
Jim Jordan is afraid? You bet he is. That is Democrat Adam Schiff squeezing the Republican Jordan over a proposal to get rid of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, or ATF. That proposal to defund the federal law enforcement agency comes from a Republican.
It would abolish, it would eliminate the Bureau immediately after enactment. Do you support that, Mr. Jordan? Yes or no?
I've given my answer.
I'm not getting a yes or no from anyone.
I was getting to that.
What's the answer,
The
Mr.
gentleman
Jordan?
from Arizona
What's the answer? Do you support abolishing the ATF, Mr. Jordan?
The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
The gentleman from Florida, Republican Matt Gaetz, is the lawmaker pushing to scrap the ATF and defund those federal police.
So yes, I do believe that the current structure of the ATF is absolutely not worth vindicating or funding or continuing in its operational setting. And I see that there's a handful of members who've co-sponsored the legislation. I would encourage everyone to do so because the ATF has been weaponized.
But without the ATF, there would be no federal government oversight of firearms and no federal enforcement of existing gun laws.
ATF's responsibilities include investigation and prevention of federal offenses involving the unlawful use, manufacture, and possession of firearms and explosives. I was led to believe for many years that the Republican mantra was, we don't need any new gun laws, we should enforce the ones that we have. But apparently today they don't even want those laws enforced. ATF issues firearms licenses. I guess we don't want to issue any firearms licenses anymore either.
The entire exchange clearly made Jim Jordan uncomfortable. For years, Jordan has accused Democrats of wanting to defund police, but now confronted with a Republican bill to defund a federal law enforcement agency, Jordan was essentially being called a hypocrite.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Jordan, would you like me to yield to you, express your support for Mr. Gaetz' legislation
I'm going to yield to Mr. Gaetz.
No, I'm yielding to you, Mr. Jordan.
Well, I'm going to listen to Mr. Gaetz' compelling arguments that I know will be coming, and then we will have a debate.
Reclaiming my time, I'd be happy to yield to you for the purpose of yes.
I appreciate your willingness.
Mr. Jordan, if you let me finish.
I will.
It would abolish, it would eliminate the Bureau immediately after enactment. Do you support that, Mr. Jordan? Yes or no?
I've given my answer.
Do you support it?
I've given my answer.
And Jordan's answer is, I'm not going to say. Because if Jim Jordan were to support the Matt Gaetz legislation, Jordan would be endorsing an effort to defund law enforcement. And Jordan has demagogued Democrats on that. But if Jordan were to oppose the Gaetz legislation and show some consistency in his views about police, well, Jordan would then be dumping on a fellow Republican. So Jim Jordan tries to have it both ways by muddling his views of the bill and by hiding behind parliamentary maneuvers. In other words, Jim Jordan is not exactly a profile in courage. But that's not news. To be clear, the Democratic position on police is more nuanced than Republicans claim. Democrats want to reform police culture and strategies in America, eliminate the racism, and decrease the number of incidents when police trample on constitutional rights and even kill innocent people. Relatedly, Matt Gaetz' view of federal efforts to oversee firearms is more nuanced than defunding the ATF sounds. Because Gaetz still wants some federal oversight, just not by that particular government agency. In any case, nuance and complexity are not in the sweet spot for Jim Jordan. In his world, everything has to be dumbed down to cliches and ridiculous political slogans. And Jordan's simplicity spawns remarkable hypocrisy, as Democrat Adam Schiff just underscored. By the way, Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene recently got laughed at and flipped out in a congressional hearing.
To be given a chance to live as free Americans instead of murdered. You think this is funny? Ms. Spatalnik, is this funny to you? Is babies being murdered in the womb funny to you? Because you're smirking and laughing at me right now.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.